Ever walk into a furniture store and kind of look around at everything and think, huh, how they make this?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going behind the scenes
Hmm.
of a career that's all about turning raw materials into those finished products you're looking at.
Yeah,
The table saw operator,
it's a good one.
and our guide for this deep dive is RoleCatcher,
Yeah, they're cool.
which has, I think, a really interesting approach to career exploration.
Yeah, RoleCatcher is really interesting because they're not just about job listings.
Right.
They use AI and data to actually like map out different career paths.
Wow.
And in this case, for the table saw operator, they've really broken down what it takes to succeed,
Okay.
which is a lot more nuanced than you might think.
So it's more than just like cut, cut, cut.
It's so much more.
Okay, so right off the bat, RoleCatcher emphasizes that this isn't just about making straight cuts.
Right.
They talk about the need to anticipate how different materials behave,
Yes.
almost like you're reading their minds
Uh,
before making the cut.
It's true.
What does that actually look like on the job?
So picture this.
Okay.
You're working with a piece of wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
A novice might just line it up, make the cut, whatever.
Sure.
But a seasoned table saw operator
Okay.
understands that wood grain has a direction.
Oh, right.
And if you cut against it, you can get splintering or even dangerous kickback from the saw.
Oh, wow.
And even things like moisture content in the wood can affect how the blade cuts.
That's something I never would have considered.
Right.
Yeah, because you just think wood is wood, but it can be dry, it can be wet,
Exactly.
all that.
It's a factor.
RoleCatcher also mentions various cuts like ripping and cross-cutting.
Yeah.
Is that related to this whole material behavior thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So ripping is when you cut along the grain with it,
Okay.
and cross-cutting is against the grain.
Okay.
And they each require different techniques and even different types of blades for your saw.
Wow.
And it's not just wood.
Oh.
Table saw operators might work with plastics, metals, all sorts of materials,
Okay.
each with their own quirks, you know?
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a lot to keep track of.
So it's way more complex than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of the work environment,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher paints a picture of a bustling workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it can be.
Okay.
Definitely not your typical quiet office setting.
No.
But what's interesting is that RoleCatcher found it's not a solitary job.
Okay.
There's a lot of communication and collaboration.
Interesting.
You're working with other operators, taking instructions from supervisors, sometimes even interacting with customers.
Oh, wow. So you need people skills.
You need people skills to
Interesting.
make sure everyone's on the same page and the project is done right.
So it's a blend of technical precision,
Oh.
but then also being able to talk to people.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
That's a balance.
RoleCatcher also brought up this really interesting tension between automation and then the demand for skilled manual work.
It's a big one these days.
Yeah. So what's their take on how that's playing out in this field?
Mm-hmm. It's a question on a lot of people's minds these days.
It is.
You know, with robots and all that.
Yeah, sure.
But RoleCatcher seems to think that even though, yeah, automation's changing things up,
Uh-huh.
the need for a skilled table saw operator is going to stick around.
Okay, that's good. That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
Why is that, though?
Well,
Because it seems like if the machines are getting so fancy,
right.
why do we still need a human at the wheel, so to speak?
It comes down to humans being able to, like, problem solve on the fly.
Oh, okay.
And think about it, like,
Like-
every piece of wood is different, right?
Yes,
So it's got its own grain pattern, maybe some knots,
right.
little imperfections, you know?
Yeah.
A skilled operator can just kind of roll with those punches, adapt machines. Not so much.
Yeah, they don't like surprises.
Not really their thing.
So it's really interesting because it's not just knowing the how-to of the saw.
It's bigger than that.
It's the understanding of the materials, almost like you were saying before, reading the wood.
Totally. And that kind of deep knowledge that ends up paying off literally.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher found that the more experience you have under your belt, the better the pay, the more secure your job is.
That makes sense. You become more valuable.
Exactly. Especially if you've got a specialty, you know, you're the go-to person for something.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about because RoleCatcher mentions becoming a veneer slicer operator.
Right. Niche but cool.
Sounds very elegant. I have no idea what that is, though.
So veneer, it's like this super thin, like paper thin piece of wood.
Right.
Usually used for looks because you get these amazing grain patterns.
Oh, fancy.
Right. And these operators, they use a special saw to slice it off a log.
So it's like Super precise.
Crazy precise.
Next level woodworking.
Totally. And that ties into the whole advancement thing we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
You start as an entry-level table saw operator, work your way up, maybe you become that veneer specialist,
What?
or even like a senior table saw operator. You're managing teams, projects, the whole shebang.
So there's room to climb that ladder if you
Oh,
want.
yeah. If you're ambitious and keep learning, the sky's the limit.
Okay, but let's get real for a second. Like, let's say I'm applying for one of these jobs.
All right, time for the interview.
Yeah, RoleCatcher has that whole section on interview prep. What kind of questions should I be ready for?
They had some good ones, but one that stuck out to me was how to handle a complex cut when you don't have much material to work with.
Oh, that's stressful just thinking about it.
Right. High stakes.
Yeah, you don't want to mess that up.
No pressure.
So what are they looking for with that kind of question?
They want to see that you can think on your feet,
Okay.
that you get the whole problem-solving aspect of it.
Right.
So a good answer would be, talking about how you'd plan those cuts out meticulously,
Okay.
maybe mention specific techniques so you're accurate, even with limited material.
So it's proving you have the skills and the brains.
Exactly. It's that combo that really makes you stand out.
And that's where a tool like RoleCatcher can really help, right?
For sure. I mean, their whole AI-powered resume builder is designed to do just that.
To make you shine.
Exactly. Cut through the noise and grab those employers' attention.
Yeah, it seems like they've really got their finger on the pulse of, like, how people find jobs these days.
Totally. And it's not just about the tech either. It's like, right.
They get that this field, it's about more than just knowing how to use a saw. It's about
That mindset.
that mindset, yeah, that you can learn and adapt.
A passion for it too, right?
Oh, yeah, big time. RoleCatcher actually had some quotes from table saw operators themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they all talked about how satisfying it is to take something raw and make it into something real.
Ah, that's cool.
Something they built with their own hands.
You don't get that in every job.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
This is like real tangible work.
You see what you created.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher made a good point about even though it's this age-old skill, you got to keep learning.
Buzz.
Technology changes.
Yeah.
New materials pop up.
Right.
The best in the biz, they're always picking up new tricks.
So you can't just rest on your laurels. You got to stay sharp. Literally, keep those saw blades sharp. Keep your skills sharp, too.
It's a good metaphor. I like it. So it's a career with a future then.
Definitely, if you're willing to put the work in.
Makes you wonder, though,
Yeah.
like with all the tech stuff, will that hands-on skill become even more valuable?
Interesting question, like a premium on craftsmanship.
Yeah, because not everyone can do it.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
Glad you enjoyed it.
I've learned a lot. Honestly, never thought that much about table saw operators before.
It's a hidden gem, for sure.
It is. And for anyone listening out there,
Yeah.
if you like working with your hands, seeing a project through, start to finish,
That satisfaction.
this could be it, you know?
Definitely. And if you want the full rundown, head to RoleCatcher.
Yeah, check out their guide.
They've got even more details and resources there.
Great. Well, until next time, everyone.
Keep those saws sharp.
And those minds curious.